Ron Carter on bass, Tommy Flanagan on piano, Tony Williams on drums with this number, Blues in the Closet. It's from their 1983 album and the title track of that album. They were known as the Master Trio at that time, but they've still gone on to do even greater things. And I especially like Ron Carter. That was the first of the trio that I had met, and I was so impressed with him. And I love the music. This is Leid Stories. I'm Utrice Leid, and we have uh, some somber work to do as we start out the program today. But just the same, I don't like being pessimistic. I don't like being negative, but we know that we suffered a loss. The nation suffered a loss over the weekend with the death of Kobe Bryant and several others, including his daughter, in a helicopter crash into a hillside out in Calabasas. And I didn't, I was not a big basketball fan. I came late to the whole uh, appreciation of the game. So I was not, and still am not, all that well versed in the game, and the impact that it had was unquestionable. Everybody in the United States, I mean, great basketball fans. So it happened on Sunday morning when Kobe Bryant and his daughter, 13-year-old daughter, Gianna, and seven other people on that helicopter were on their way to do various things. Apart from Kobe, there was also John Altobelli, head baseball coach at Orange Coast College, his wife Keri, and their daughter Alyssa, who also all perished in this crash. So the helicopter was on its way to uh, Calabasas and slammed into the side of a hill. And all passengers and the pilot of the helicopter all died. And according to reports, what happened after that was that in the effort to reach them, uh, authorities encountered of a great deal of problems because the terrain was so difficult. What is happening now is that there is an investigation and people trying to figure out what exactly happened. They do believe that the weather played a major role in the tragedy. It was cloudy, visibility allegedly was poor, and now the question is, how is it that the helicopter was given clearance to fly? Well, it doesn't help necessarily. It must be done. An investigation of the type must be done, as is routine. But the damage has been enormous, and the whole nation has, you know, uh, been mourning because they can't believe that Kobe Bryant has died at the age of 41. So I'm going to ask a favor of you today. I don't know much about Kobe Bryant or basketball players generally. Uh, I mean, you read things about what they're doing, and from time to time, as you flip through uh, coverage of things, you get the sports analysis, and you get some snippets of information about what is going on. But there's no question, I'm not entirely ignorant of Kobe Bryant and his significance in the world of basketball. But I'd like to know from you personally what he meant to you. What was what was it that made Kobe Bryant so special? And share it with all of us. Because as I said, I'm up to snuff. I'm not up to snuff on basketball or baseball or sports generally. I do know a thing or two that I've read, but I would like to know how you received the news and what your view was of Kobe Bryant and what do you think we should remember or recall about his name when it is spoken. What is special about this particular athlete and why you feel especially sad about this occurring at this point in his life? To have it end so abruptly and so violently. And it doesn't help us any to say, well, uh, they're doing an investigation. The main thing is that he has died along with his daughter. And I'm sure there's a special way you feel about that. 888-874-4888. I thought this would be our tribute to Kobe Bryant through your testimonials. And we move on to the second half of our program. 888-874-4888. Jay from New York, you're on the air.
How are you, Yatrice? I hope you're feeling better.
I'm feeling better. I'm happy. I'm still alive.
Well, that's the most important thing for not only
Yes, it is.
you, me, and the rest of the audience, so we could get to hear your beautiful analysis and keep us hopefully on the right track to understanding what's going on in the world and around us. Um, Kobe Bryant, to me, was a great basketball player who was evolving into what I really don't know, but the direction it seems to be a good person with a wide range of views. You know, he was controversial on certain levels. I mean, one of the things that I find out as people evolve within their lives, the narrative changes because you're going to find those who will refer to him as one thing and those who refer to him as something else. But as a basketball player, he was a competitive, arrogant SOB, as they would say. He took no prisoners. Then you could look at it from an outside point of view. I don't think Kobe Bryant took no prisoners regarding anything. I think he came into the league at such a young age and dealt with so much that he matured over time. The only issue I ever really had with him was the relationship between him and his parents. And I pray for his wife and his kids, and I also pray for his mother and his father and his sisters, because I know that they truly loved him and they were distant for one another for extended period of time. I hope that they got back together. And the thing is, his father, in all honesty, was the root of his existence because his father was an ex-NBA player and taught him the game and showed him the game and nurtured him just like he was doing to his daughter who unfortunately passed away. So I just hope that people in their prayers also pray for his parents because I know how hard it is for them. And I know how hard it is for everyone else in the sense that, he was involved with. But you're going to have, like it always happens, a change of a narrative at some point in time when people get over this tragedy. And some of it's going to be good and some of it's going to be bad. But in regards to his talent, he was right there at the top. There was very few players that have played in the league who was as good as he was, as disciplined as he was, as focused as he was, and as dedicated as he was. He was all of those things. And that's what made him his great player that he was his tenacity to be the best and his laser focus on to do what he did. And that's rare in
Well,
athletes.
you got us started
And
off
he had it.
today on a good note, and I thank you for it. It's always good to recall the
Have a good day.
good parts. Thank you, the good aspects of a person, especially someone with such a profound effect within the world in which he operated. Henry from Chicago, you're on the air. What are your thoughts about Kobe Bryant, and what should we know about him?
Hi, Utrice. Greetings to
Ah,
you and the Lead Stories and PRN listeners. Um,
thank
I'm a big basketball fan. I'll admit that. And Kobe, on the as far as basketball, just basketball alone, he was a very intelligent basketball player. He's one of those few players that not only had the physical ability and skill to play basketball, but he was very in depth on the game. There was a series that he did right after he retired in regards to on ESPN in regards to him breaking down game film. And you listen to him and you swear he thought he was a coach. But from my understanding, a lot of players did say that Kobe was he was very film oriented in regards to studying the game. And that's why I say he's very intelligent as far as like him breaking down the game. And that's how, he got better because of the fact that not too many people praise his mental acumen of the game. Like he knew where like players were going to dribble to, where their best shots were, and that's why he was a very good defender. He knew when defenses were going to, play him certain ways, and then he'll do something else. So on the basketball side, that's what I will remember him. The news kind of, it was sad to me, but then when I found out his daughter was part of that tragedy, it hit me real hard because of the fact that I'm the father of a daughter, and it's just hard when I hear something like that, And then his other daughters and his wife, they lost a father and also a big sister as well. So, but then as with Kobe, he has his faults too, and I always remembered his rape allegation case in 2003. And he's been fortunate because of the fact that he could have went the way of Bill Cosby, being accused of this But then also too, he could have been in some serious, uh, serious legal troubles with this as well. So he's been fortunate enough to have people around him to kind of guide, kind of like help him get out of this. But I mean, we don't know what actually happened. But it's like he could have went the way of Bill Cosby easily, with that with that case. So it's a tragedy in regards to that. But like I said, it really hit me hard when his daughter was one of the victims of this. So it's like as a father, you kind of feel for it. And I echo the sentiments of the previous caller Jay as well. His parents. I mean, it just hurts to see a child. I don't care how old your child is. Losing a child, because as a parent, you want your child to bury you, not you burying your child.
Mhm. What would you say has been the most significant contribution that he made, either as a person or as an athlete?
Well, I guess a significant contribution as an athlete. Um, from my understanding, he was very open to a lot of the younger basketball players that was coming into the league, and I think his example of doing that should be an example to all of the other athletes, coming up, and not just in basketball. I guess he also mentored them in other things outside of basketball, and and I'm pretty sure he has a lot to share in regards to that, because many of the athletes that come into pro sports, especially black athletes, they need that type of mentorship in regards to helping them maneuver their way, not through just the sport, but all of the stuff that comes with it, the positives and the negatives towards it. Because Kobe, like he's been through it, both positively and negatively, so he can definitely help out with that. I guess in regards to off court, one thing most people know about Kobe that is not mentioned a lot is he was very fluent in Italian as well. Uh, so basically, one of the things that we can learn from him is in regards to languages. I just got through reading I just got through reading Dr. Gerald Horn's book on Paul Robeson, and Robeson was very linguistic. I mean, this dude learned like 30 different languages. And so that's something that we can all take into heart and account, because of the fact that it helps us globally, as global citizens. So that's something else that I could probably add into there, as far as Kobe being fluent in Italian as well.
Well, I thank you for your contribution. As I said, I'm not a sports nut, and I don't follow sports that closely. You pick up snippets of things, and I do get excited when the big game is on and people are watching it, because mostly I'm cooking so that people could eat while they watch the game. But I was impressed, just the same, about the level of compassion that poured out upon learning that Kobe Bryant and his daughter perished in this helicopter crash. And I thought it would be appropriate to just acknowledge him and his work, and you know keep his family in our minds as they go through this terrible tragedy and the aftermath. Thanks, Henry, for calling.
Thank
88. Oh, you're welcome. 888-874-4888. We'll take one or two more calls before we move on to our other half of the program. We're talking here about where the aftermath of a major tragedy that has deeply affected the sports world, especially the basketball world. Kobe Bryant, uh, who was considered a phenomenon in the game, uh, perished along with 8 other people, including his daughter, as a helicopter that they were in heading toward Calabasas in California slammed into a hill and they all died. Now, it's interesting that part of the investigation now is whether they or how they were given, the pilot was given clearance to fly because the weather was so bad. Uh, Lots of fog and visibility was very poor, supposedly. And now they're looking at these aspects. They're going through the logs, they're going through all kinds of records to find out what the cause of the crash was. Of course, it doesn't help uh, in the aftermath. It's the person, people have died, but it does matter because it provides an answer or answers for what might have happened so that they do not happen again. Bill from New Jersey, you're on the air. What was Kobe Bryant's, or what is Kobe Bryant's death meaning to you?
Well, I'm calling in for a little bit of a flip side, as per usual. The mention of it being a major tragedy, this happening, I disagree with that, only because it is not more major or more of a tragedy when a celebrity dies. Children, sure, but because a celebrity dies is not cause for it to be a major tragedy, any more than the thousands or millions of people that die every day that are not or were not great basketball players. So that's my first. As far as his legacy, one of the best basketball players ever, as far as I'm concerned. I was a tremendous Jordan fan when Jordan played, and one of the things I remember hearing commentators say about Jordan after his career was over was, greatest basketball player ever, not that great a man, because he never really took any side in anything. He never really used his celebrity to further any causes, and I would say Kobe falls into that position also. I'm not aware of him ever using his celebrity or wealth to further any causes for anyone other than himself. If there was something, I certainly would like to know about it, but I'm not aware of anything like that. Tragedy of the daughter, of course.
There is something to be said for a sense of compassion just the same. You may not know of things that he had done or allegedly had done. You may not know everything. For one thing, he was raising his daughter to take his a business interest in the game, and that's why she was on the flight with him, so that she can observe and learn. And he personally tutored her. He paid great attention to his family. That's laudable. But I think we also, at a moment like this, we should consider that we don't know all there is to know to come to a judgment call on anything. But we should, the question really asks us all to look into the tragedy of the moment. Is there anything that we could extract from it? And I think I'm a little surprised that you find nothing particularly instructive to share about Kobe Bryant.
Well, about Kobe Bryant, no, I don't really have anything instructive to share. My point is that I am not someone that believes that celebrities are of any more value than anyone else. So,
but nobody's saying that. Nobody's.
Well, when you say that it's a major tragedy, there are people being murdered right now that no one will speak of their death.
Yes, we understand that, but at the same time, this is what happens. This is one of the elements of news. Celebrity is an element of news. When most of what we know in terms of news involving celebrities, that is considered the news value of a story. The news value of a story is that something has happened involving a notable person, whether good, bad, or indifferent. And in this case, it's no different from any other case involving a celebrity. When somebody very famous, considered an outstanding person in the world of basketball, dies along with his daughter, of course, it's big news. So I don't know if I take your same tact. I know, of course, that people die every day. But are you trying to tell me that if somebody who's well known dies, that we should take no different notice of it than if somebody who's not well known dies? Do you really think that that is par for the course, the way life works, the way the news business works?
Oh, I know it's not the way the news business works. What I'm saying is, yes, I'm saying exactly that it is not more important or more tragic that Kobe Bryant died yesterday than it is that some young man or young woman in New York City was shot by a cop yesterday, or was hit by a car yesterday. I am not someone that reveres celebrity. I'm just,
well, it's
the fact
really
that someone
it really
well
is
known
not
for
about
something is just got nothing
it's really
to do
not
with
about
my
revering or being obsessed with celebrity. It really isn't that at all. It is simply that here's a notable person and something very tragic has happened. And we're just pausing because the person no longer is with us. The person is no longer in his sphere of influence. The person has been taken out by a tragic accident. Do we not have some kind of humanity that we could pause and say, well, this is what I remember of him, or this is what I think his contribution to the game was? We don't even have room for that. We're bereft of even that. Is that what we are now? We are completely without feeling?
What I'm saying is contribution to the game it's a game. It's just a game, a meaningless game.
It's a no. I'll have to disagree with you here. It's not just a game. This is, globally speaking, $1 trillion industry.
Okay,
and
it makes money.
Here you have a person who has distinguished himself in the industry. And I think it is perfectly understandable that people feel a great sense of loss.
I'm sorry, but I don't care how much. I don't care how much money basketball makes. Just, that has nothing to do with my world. Whether basketball makes a lot of money and people watch it, as far as I'm concerned, it's just a game. And this is not the same as, say, Malcolm X being shot, someone that was trying to do something positive for people all around the world.
I think you're making a stretch there. I think you're making a stretch.
As opposed to a guy that played a game. He played a game.
No, it's not a game.
Well,
See,
basketball is a game.
You're showing your cards here. It is not a game. How could you just say it's just a game?
Because it is the game of basketball. It is a game. It's a game.
It's a game. Yes, but which other game do you know has risen to the level of a global phenomenon, Olympic status, because people like Kobe Bryant brought it there to that level? Which other game do you know?
I don't care about any game or the outcome of any game.
Let's say that you don't care.
I don't care about the outcome of games.
Don't backtrack now. This is the thing that we also have to. You, I think, gave us an indication that you are very dismissive of the value of the person because you just reduced it to it's just a game. No, it's not.
No, I'm not dismissive of the value of a person. My point is he's not any more valuable than anyone
But he's
else.
making the argument that he is more valuable.
That's my point.
He's a celebrity, whether you like it or not. He is a celebrity. And with good reason, as we have come to understand. He made outstanding contributions to what you call the game. Therefore, he's not an ordinary person. He's not.
And I'm saying that he was an ordinary person.
Okay.
That all life is equal. Life.
It's not all life is equal. It's about, again, being able to distinguish a person's contributions that basically span the world. Ordinary people don't do that, can't do that. No matter how hard they try, they can't do it. It's like saying, the Beatles just sang some songs, some silly songs, except they changed and radically changed cultures all over the world. That's not ordinary. That is not an ordinary accomplishment. Or Martin Luther King just stood up and made a little speech. Okay, but if you understood the significance of it all, you can't dismiss it as a guy standing up talking. At some point, you have to see, at least I encourage you to see, how in so many ways we contribute differently to world change. And still people insist on bringing it down, demeaning it, the contribution. This was no ordinary athlete, any more than Jesse Owens was an ordinary athlete. Not ordinary at all. If these were ordinary people, everybody would be doing it. I have no clue what I would do if I were suddenly thrust into a situation that I know nothing about, and yet I'm expected to be all these things and because the record shows I can do all these things. And he did. Kobe Bryant did a lot. And you have people like Shaquille O'Neal and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and others in their testimonials that I have seen talk about how extraordinary Kobe Bryant was. You can't come to the conclusion that he was ordinary. And if you do, you're missing something. You're missing something. Very, very important. Ali from New York, you're on the air.
How you, Trace? How you doing?
Okay, haven't heard from you in a while. How are you?
Well, sometimes I don't have a chance to listen to your program, and but today that was a lucky day. I was able to I'm able to listen to your show. I knowing that you're talking about basketball. I know I don't hear a woman calling because, of course, all this sport is more concentrated on male than female. I'm going to give you my take on Kobe Bryant. I just wanted to say that I live in a household where I have one son, and I married a man over 30 something years ago that he eats and sleeps basketball. So now he's a ref. He's a ref. So is my son. So you could imagine the people that I have in these two male against one lady who is an activist. And since I started this thing with my activism life, which it has been that long, I don't want to know anything about sports, but I still, they still talk to me about sport. And I will have to say to Henry, if you know about basketball, you know about Kobe Bryant speaking fluently Italian. And he also did fluently Spanish. He married his high school sweetheart from high school, and he also had that incident with the rape that he was accused of, where the woman decided not to go through the trial with this case, and actually he even wrote a letter saying because at the beginning it was consensual, that's why he claimed, but the proof were completely different. So this is some things that people, the whole world, if you know about Kobe, you will know about Kobe. As a matter of fact, today I heard David Siren say that he even spoke some kind of Slavic language. And so if you knew Kobe, you knew about all those things because that's one of the first things that they talk about him, that he lived in Italy at a very early age, and he spoke. And actually, my son was in Italy for more than a month, and he's very well known in Italy. Everybody that talks about basketball, the first name is Kobe Bryant. It's like he's part of Italy. So that I just had to call because I'm a woman. I know so much about sport that is unbelievable about any sport. It's the one that I really don't care too much for is boxing. But I know a lot about basketball. And another thing with the gentleman who you were talking to, if he doesn't care, why did he call? Because your question was, if you know anything about COVID and you would like to call whatever, I forgot exactly how you put it, to call in. So he didn't really call to call about Kobe. He called to say that he's not a non-important person. Maybe I understand what he's saying, that maybe we give too much floor to celebrity, but this is where we live. We can't get away from it. Even if you say you don't care, don't call. And just keep it to yourself, because it's a very annoying to hear somebody so negative. And you, Tris, I do have to say that you give him too much time. Maybe you should give people more time, people that they will say something not positive, because I do have, and I also have a story that my son, even though I tell them I don't want to know about sport, that he told me about 3 months ago that Kobe did to a young player, which at the end the young player didn't make it because of Kobe. And I have a very negative story about him. And the gentleman, now he is he's a ref now with my son, and that is the reason that I know the story. And this story I learned 3 months ago, not because Kobe just passed away. But yes, I'm really, really happy that his wife didn't leave him for that incident. He was accused of rape, and I'm really surprised because at that time he had two daughters. And if you come from a woman and you marry a woman and you have two daughters at that time, now the one that passed away, he had a total of four daughters. I'm really, really surprised that somebody will rape a woman. But you know what? We don't know the whole story. We can't really say much about that case. But I do have to say, yes, this celebrity, we really don't know them as a person. That's what I always have told my son. We know what we see, but we don't really know them. And that is what I would have to say. We really knew whatever they said about Kobe, but we really, as a person, we didn't really know him. So
Thanks, Ali, for your call. Thank you very much. What I was trying to communicate was that the situation, we talking in the context of a tragedy, we could all acknowledge that 9 people dying in a helicopter crash is a tragic thing. But what we asking, or what we should be looking at in the midst of the tragedy, is the humanity of it. And if at this time, or times like this, there is no sense of empathy or sympathy, and you take the hard line, well, they're not that special, and they don't deserve special attention or special treatment, it's a little cynical. And at some point, you need to take a look at that. Why, in a moment like this, and I agree with you with that, if you don't have anything positive to say, and that's what I did say, I felt that there may be a need to have a program dedicated to people expressing their condolences. But to use the moment and to, turn the apple cart upside down, it wasn't really the best. It was not the best demonstration of character to me. Although I appreciate you expressing, your an opinion, but we also should be grown enough that we can take an estimate of what it is. What is the purpose of having these discussions, so that we could talk among ourselves about how we feel? And it's a tragic moment. Why go there? In my view, why would you go there? But anyway, this is life. Ed from Queens, you're on the air. Is Ed there?
Oh.
Okay. Are you there,
Hello,
Ed?
can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, you sound muffled, though.
Oh, let me adjust my speaker. Is that a little better? Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, how you doing, Yatrice?
Okay.
Once again, hanging on by can you hear me a little better?
Yes. Yeah, hanging in by your thumbs.
Once again. I just wanted to, Kobe Bryant, I'm not a big basketball fan myself, but Kobe Bryant did bring an excellence to the game that was above average. He started as a teenager. True, he did play in Italian overseas leagues. One of the more impressive things about his career is that he came straight out of high school and went straight into the NBA, and he was successful, as opposed to Darryl Dawkins, who also did the same thing, came out of high school, but didn't have the personal discipline and ability to conduct himself to be successful. And Kobe Bryant did do a lot of things outside. He did involve himself in community activities and youth activities in his community. And, just to add a note to what you were saying, I mean, the man is dead. It's a tragedy. It behooves us to have some compassion, especially in these days, in this country, when callousness and hatred and rage is all too common. If you don't have anything nice to say, my grandma always used to say, you don't have anything nice to say, don't say nothing at all. The man was a epitome of an athlete at the top of his career. The Black Mamba, that was one of his nicknames. He
Yes.
did something that most people couldn't do at a young age. He played the All-Star game in New York as a teenager. So I mean, to dismiss the man out of hand is ridiculous. And he did do things in the community. Not everybody is going to be out there. I'm not going to bring up the rape charges because I don't think that should be brought up at this time. The man is gone. He lost his daughter. He lost himself. The 7 other people died in this tragic event. My one question, as far as technically speaking, is if police helicopters weren't flying, who gave this pilot the okay to fly? You know what I'm saying? So that's a question that I think behooves an answer. Why did this pilot have clearance to fly when the law enforcement officers weren't flying? When a standard wasn't affable for people who have high-tech equipment to fly, why was he flying the helicopter? Why was that helicopter allowed to fly at this time? I think that's a question that bodes an answer. But aside from that, I mean, the man did his thing. He was an excellent athlete. He also involved himself in the community, and he was a gentleman. And aside from that one incident, I think he carried himself very well, especially for someone who didn't have the discipline or training of a college career. He went, like I said, he was playing in the All-Star game as a teenager. So I mean, you can't besmirch that. You can't besmirch that. And not for nothing, he's an African American. He was an African American. He was an African American businessman. He elevated the game. He brought other people into the game. He did things that I know of personally because of my interest in sports, as far as community activism, as far as behind the scenes offices, as far as giving other people opportunities. And before you open your mouth, you should look into what you're saying. That's basically my comment.
All right. Well, thank you for contributing today. Willie from Brooklyn.
Oh, beloved.
Hello.
Hi, beloved. I respect
Hello.
you. Hello?
Yes, I'm
Yes.
talking to you.
Yeah, okay. First of all, I respect you and the audience. Listen, I think people should say what they want and think what they want because I think that it's your mind and it's your mouth. I have no problem what you say or what you think because I'm going to say what I want to say as long as I believe it's true. If I'm in error, just correct me. It's simple. That brother, I'm just like Sister Ali. I have no clue of basketball, right? I don't have any idea about that sports. I'm just like Ali. But listen, you see, look, a cow moves, a cat meows, a lion roars. One of them bray, B-R-A-Y-S. Which one is it?
Well,
Do
it's
you
a
know?
donkey or a mule.
What's another name for him? What's another name for that a donkey? A jackass.
Oh, I'm not going there.
No, I'm just saying that because I'm talking. You just I'm not asking you to run away. But whenever you hear them braying, you let them bray because they're supposed to. Simple.
But
That's
we're
why
talking
I have.
about Kobe Bryant. We're
Oh
not
yes.
talking about anything
Oh
else
okay.
at the moment.
From what I've heard, I was on a bus yesterday and I couldn't believe what I'm hearing. I said, "What happened?" People were actually crying. I'm saying, "What's going on?" So obviously, the brother was extremely great at what he does. That's all. I don't know much about basketball. I don't know anything about sports, but I do know whatever it is he was doing, he was one of the best at it. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Thank you so much for calling in.
Enjoy, and I respect you, sis.
Thank you, Willie. Respect you too. Every now and then, uh, we we are put in a situation or we find ourselves in a situation where something tragic has happened. it, I'm going to borrow Ed's word here, it behooves us to deal with the moment and to deal with the moment in a an appropriate way. The appropriate way when there's tragedy, at least in our society, the appropriate way would be to commiserate. Because so many people, we just heard from Willie about riding a bus and seeing people crying. Which ordinary person has that effect on others? No, it's not an ordinary thing. So the reaction would be, who was that person? Why did that person inspire this kind of reaction in people who didn't personally know him, who were not deeply involved in his life, but yet the impact was palpable and people were reacting purely on a human level because they appreciated certain dimensions of his life and how he conducted himself in those dimensions of life. And so they came away with an entirely different appreciation. This is not new, that people would have diametrically opposed views on just about anything, including about other people. But you also have to appreciate that people feel what they feel for a particular reason. And it mostly has to do with how a person resonates, no matter what other people say. How does a person resonate? Or why does a person resonate with others in particular ways that would generate that kind of passion? In a moment like that, I don't want to be a judge, and I won't be a judge. In a moment like that, I will deal with the humanity of it. I would want to know what the general feeling is, and why are people reacting in such a passionate way about a situation. I'm not going to conduct an investigation into a person's life. I'm not going to reach conclusions that they really didn't deserve to be embraced, or that we shouldn't recognize any contribution that they have made. We look at Donald Trump. As passionate as people are against him, there are millions of people who adore him. Are we to say that, well, they're wrong to feel that way? They feel that way. That's okay. But most people would tend to react on an emotional, or what they feel is an emotional connection to the person. And especially under the circumstances, tragic circumstances. But you listen to the people we respect. You listen to what their reaction is. You see tears in their eyes, these professional basketball players who we hold in high esteem, and how bereft they were of any kind of consolation. They couldn't be consoled because it was such a big deal to them, such a major tragedy to them. So I'm glad that we gave some time to the discussion today. We didn't get around to discussing Congress and the old impeachment trial. We'll certainly get to it tomorrow, because it continues. It just continues until it ends. And I thank you all for calling in. I thank you for contributing to our collective understanding of what people would have considered to be what's the big news? Well, it's big news. And I'm glad that we took the opportunity to honor the humanity of others today. We'll see each other tomorrow. Bye bye.